There's a pretty one, Ulysses. There it is.
Hello BookTube, I'm Sean the Book Maniac. Welcome back to my channel and another wee book haul. This seems to be a Thursday night special. I'm going to start switching it up with some wee, in other words, as well. But let's keep going with the wee book hauls because I'm whittling away at my humongous pile of on-hold books. This is a book that I can't remember how I heard about it, but as soon as I heard about it, I immediately ordered it. This is a book that was originally published 100 years ago exactly, and it is a Western Canadian novel written by an Asian female writer and with Asian characters. This is amazing. I can't wait to read it. It's called Cattle by Winnifred Eaton, also known as Onoto Watana. So a Japanese Canadian writer living in and writing about ranching in Western Canada in 1923. It has recently been brought back into print by Invisible Publishing in Halifax and Toronto. I cannot wait to read it, and in fact, I'm going to start reading it tomorrow, so I had to haul it tonight because I want to read you the opening paragraph. The protagonist, or the main character, is a violent and brutish cattle rancher. And there's a pandemic, so that would probably be the flu pandemic of 1918, right? Winnifred Eaton Babcock Reeve was a popular early Asian Canadian author, journalist, screenwriter, and playwright who I've never heard of. Oh, I guess her pen name was Onoto Watana. So, if it's her pen name, I guess I don't necessarily know that she was of Japanese origin. She died in 1954. I'll read you the first two paragraphs. 4 Alberta ranches are concerned in this tale. Of these, 3 were quarter sections of land in Yankee Valley, and the 4th, the vast Bar Q, whose area of over 200,000 acres of rich grain, hay, and grazing lands began on the prairie and extended into the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. Here, spreading over the best of the grazing lands and the Chinook-swept slopes, where all winter long the cattle grazed as in summertime, its jealous fingers, like those of a miser that begrudges a pinch of his gold, reached across into the Indian Reserve. For many years, the Bar Q cattle had the right of way over the Indian lands, the agents that came and went, finding it more profitable to work in the interests of the cowman than those of mere Indians. Like all the rest of the country thereabouts, including the Indians themselves, they presently came under the power and were swept into the colossal game of the man who was known throughout the country as the Bull, owner of the Bar Q. Well, I love the way the social political context is set up. I'm hoping it's not going to... I guess I shouldn't expect too much from a 1923 novel that has Indigenous characters, but I guess I should also say that I don't know with 100% certainty that the characters are Asian. I think I said that at the beginning. I don't know if they are. Asian ranchers in Alberta in the early 20th century? I just can't wait to read it. And now for something completely different. What is this? This is a short story collection by a trans writer, A Natural History of Transition by Callum Angus. I have wanted to read it for a while. Callum Angus is a trans writer and editor, currently based in Portland, Oregon. The first story is called In Kind. I'm going to read you the opening paragraph. After he gave birth at the hospital, they wrapped up the cocoon, the size of a loaf of bread, still damp from being inside him, and told Nathan to keep an eye on it, to give it fluids, that this happened sometimes, and they told him to not tell anyone. For the first 24 hours, he watched it from the corner of his bedroom. He lay it down inside a shoebox, unable to bring himself to put the cocoon in the crib. He could have sworn he saw it twitch. He put his face close to the opaque carapace, thinking he could glimpse some fingers, or the struts that gave the wings their shape. But it was impossible to tell what was inside the murky soup. He thought the hospital had tricked him, that when they saw his shape laid out on the table, the scars on his wrists, the longer scars on his chest, they decided he couldn't be trusted with the fresh canvas of a new person. So they gave him this instead. And then the thought occurred to him that this was the only thing that made sense coming out of his body, a nondescript brick, a game of wait and see. Well, that's really compelling. I have an allergy towards fiction that's about people giving birth to animals or human beings giving birth to animals or stuff like that. It just doesn't interest me at all. But there's enough other things in this opening paragraph that are really compelling that I'm certainly going to not let it dissuade me from giving it a try. And this kind of matches my blouse, doesn't it? And finally, book number 3 tonight is a classic, I think, of Icelandic literature. The Fish Can Sing by Halldór Laxness. I picked this up at a thrift store a couple months ago. Translated from the Icelandic by Magnus Magnusson. Originally published 1957 in Iceland. Translation 1966. The protagonist is an abandoned child. The kid is born and abandoned in the early 20th century. I'll read the opening 2 paragraphs for this one too. A wise man once said that next to losing its mother, there is nothing more healthy for a child than to lose its father. I think we need to hear that sentence again. Did I read it wrong? I don't think so. A wise man once said that next to losing its mother, there is nothing more healthy for a child than to lose its father. I read that right the first time. And though I would never subscribe to such a statement wholeheartedly, I would be the last person to reject it out of hand. For my own part, I would express such a doctrine without any suggestion of bitterness against the world, or rather without the hurt which the mere sound of the words implies. But whatever one might think of the merits of this observation, it so happened, in my own case, that I had to make do without any parents at all. I will not say that it was actually my good fortune, that would be putting it too strongly, but I certainly cannot call it a misfortune, at least not so far as I myself was concerned. And that was because I acquired a grandfather and a grandmother instead. It might be closer to the truth to say that the misfortune was all my father's and my mother's, not because I would have been a model son to them, far from it, but because parents have even more need of children than children have of parents. But that is another matter. Well, I don't know about you, but I'm hooked by that opening. Do any of these appeal to you? If so, which ones? Looking forward to your comments. Thanks for watching.